Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the August 18th Select Board meeting. Will you join me in saying the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first up, Amanda, you have the general fund warrants for the week.
Yes. And I was just going through a bunch of the receipts. So the general fund warrant has, fuel, truck receipts, rentals for the Bay Park for utilities, like restroom rentals and things of that nature. So the general fund warrant total is $41,354.73. I've made a motion that we approve this warrant.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Jeff, you have
Yep.
payroll.
So I have two payroll warrants. One is dated August 8th, 2025. And that one is in the amount of $30,001.96. And the second warrant is dated August 15th, 2025. And that one is in the amount of $28,703.64. And I would make a motion that we approve these as presented.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Jack, you have a few miscellaneous warrants.
Yep. First off, we have the industrial park warrant for the amount of $3,192.90, and that's for Green Mountain Power for lights and sewer pump and Champlain Associates. Is that just pump stations too, or? Yep. And then we have another one for the Stone House warrant. The amount of $13,108.98, and that looks like a lot of bands for the park. Is that what I'm seeing? And architect for the Stone House. I think that's about some excavation. What was that for? Complete excavation, you know?
Complete septic, they do, they pump out the tanks.
Okay. Good. And stormwater utility. Once again, mostly engineering fees, Aldrich and Elliott, Fitzgerald. In the amount of $14,171.66. And I make the motion, we approve those as presented.
Second.
There is one more.
The forest, the town forest.
It's the last one.
Ukraine also demanding the children, families, and prisoners of war taken by Russia.
Oh, there. The heck?
Nice catch, Jen.
Yeah, town forest warrant.
Oh,
Amount of $4,547.36 to Andy Crosman, and that's for his trail work, right?
Yeah, he's got receipts for all the work he did. It's supplies that he
Yeah.
bought to do the trail work,
Yeah, I see him here.
so.
And yeah, once again, I'd make the motion, we approve all four of these as presented.
I'll second that again.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public comment. I don't see anybody here for public.
Minutes.
Oh, yeah, minutes, yeah. On your packet, you had the minutes of regular meeting of 8/4 and then the special meeting of 8/7. Somebody like to make a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we're on the public comment.
Okay, I had a taxpayer citizen contact me the other day. They had a medical emergency. And ambulance couldn't find the address. You know, most towns have them little green signs, and they were wondering if what it would take to get those on everybody's
homes.
driveways or whatever.
Usually it's the private landowner's responsibility to put those out.
Is that how it works? 'Cause I know on a lot of, like Fairfield, they all have them on their roads. Well, roads, but numbers.
We could do, I could have the staff look into, maybe we could buy them in bulk and sell them cheaper
Yeah,
to staff or something like that. Maybe we could get a pricing piece, but
yeah, they did put one up after.
You're talking private, right?
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. You know, back off.
but like those numbers on the mailboxes you see that are green.
Green, Georgia, they're all.
You know, if you go down like McQuam Shore, people have them on their mailboxes or whatnot. Like,
Well, I just bringing that up, they were wondering. Wouldn't be a good idea, but they did go shortly after and get their own and put them up, so.
I mean, I think those are usually about $50, you know, roughly 3,000 homes, it'd be $150,000 to do that. If we paid for it for everybody.
Oh, maybe one thing that we could do is put a link on a website and where you could go get that if you wanted one.
Yep.
Make it easy, painless as possible.
Okay,
Okay, somebody make a motion to recess the select board meeting and convene as the liquor control board.
so moved.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Okay, here we are doing the liquor control board stuff. Bubba Duffers has an annual liquor license renewal for a third-class license. Anna says, on a post-it note, no violations or infraction. So having said that, would somebody like to make a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Okay, perfect, thank you. So now we're gonna recess the liquor control board meeting and reconvene as the select board.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Perfect. Town managers report.
Yeah, so the bulk of it tonight, I just want to talk to you guys about that project prioritization, list prioritization of various projects. Ones we're missing, ones we need to remove or move on from. But first, quickly, I'll go over a few just updates on smaller projects. Audit RFP is out. We've received one bid. They're due at the end of the month, and I know of at least one other firm interested. The boat launch RFP is going out this week. We saw a draft last week. We've done some technical work to it. And we've talked to some folks at the state to get to people who really make sure the people who really specialize in design a boat launch get it. So we can go there. We've done a few small projects around the facility here that have been issues, like we fixed the switch thing here. We got keys made up for that. Right now, that door locks because the timer tells it the magnet to at 4 every day. You know, getting your guys' feedback, I think we could open it at least, try to 2 days a week, push that time a little bit later. Everything else is locked up too, but you know, we want people to be able to come in here if we forget to do an override or if another board forgets to do an override for a public meeting. Fire department celebrated their 50th anniversary this past weekend, went well with a good turnout. One I do want to talk to you guys about before we get into this. Our public works team applied for a road safety permit for $10,000 to buy a $15,000 sign that they can put in saying roads closed till whatever. We paid $5,000 in rentals this year, so it seems like a good fit. I was going back to my time here. We used to have a grant policy in other towns I've done work in, have a grant policy. So if grants over a certain amount, whether it's 10, 15, $20,000, it actually comes to the select board for approval. I think we'd be advantageous to put something like that together. I think it does a couple things on the front for normal. One, it's not micromanagey. It's, in my mind, transparency. It's, you know, hey, is this grant that we're applying for aligned with the goals of the town and what we're working on for the next year? We often have to do a local match. But also is an opportunity for staff to come in and talk to you all about the good work they're doing and what they want to do and all of that. And so, you know, explain that to staff. I think some of them wondering, you know, it went away. They felt, well, this and that. Yes, there's always the emergent. This is a really good grant we put together in 2 days, but most of the time you have 6 months to put together a grant application and plenty of time. And it allows us, like when I was in Milton doing some consulting work, it was great because then in your grant application, you could put a resolution in that showed that your select board voted to approve. You know, they agree with the grant. They want you to go get the grant and you have that buy-in. So to me, it's a no-brainer to put back into place. I think it keeps you involved with what's going on. I think it brings the staff here. It also allows for a level of just making sure we're not going for grants that aren't 100% aligned of what the select board and the voters want us to do. So I was hoping you guys would feel the same way, and then I can have some drafted for our next meeting for you all to consider. But I just wanted to see what general reaction to something like that is before we start putting that together.
I think so.
I think it's a good idea.
Good with me.
Okay, so there's just a few things like that over time that I unpeel, and I went looking for it before I approved the grant application, and there's nothing, so. Those are just kind of quick updates on working there. Our printer stopped working this afternoon, so you're getting a photocopy of stuff, but I think the most important column for us is the first one, just various projects. You know, the financial audits obviously are important, capital improvement plan. These are some other things that Sean and others had written down as priorities, same in community development, public works, fire department, and human resources. I just thought, you know, if we could take some time and go through these and kind of what still remain a priority, what don't, what are more of a priority than others, at least just to make sure we're pointing staff and having staff work on the right projects. And if you see anything here, I'm happy to give an update on what's here on the list so far. So like in community development, the Route 7 shared path, that study's coming in front of you in mid-September. Planning Commission right now is working on a new bicycle and pedestrian master plan update. Our community development staff has put together a new resident packet, but they never really implemented it and sent it. The goal was to send it out to new residents, but we've never done that. So we could update quarterly newsletters. I'd like Megan and her team to start sending out quarterly emails to town residents that we have emails for, saying, hey, this is what we've been working on. Here's what's upcoming, just to start the communication. She does have this TOD study is getting close to being done. Demolition of the house over here on Georgia Shore Road. They've got a working plan started to put together. You know, the boat launch or old DPW facility. Build a project list just of the village master plan that's been put together. St. Albans Health Path, it says complete, but just the report is, we obviously haven't built it yet. And just some of these other things. I mean, I don't know, are there other projects you guys are interested in from a community development perspective, other studies, other things that you're not interested in doing that we have on here? Because
Did you talk to anybody from hysterical
I've called, I haven't heard back yet
Okay,
on the stone house.
yeah,
I gotta,
they're so busy.
well, and they all had Friday off. I didn't realize it was a state holiday Friday. We all worked here,
Yeah.
but apparently it was a state holiday Friday. Bennington Battle Day.
Yeah, Burlington was closed. There was some
Yeah.
things with changing over utilities and things.
Our taxes were due that day, so we needed to be open
Yeah.
Yeah.
to collect them. On the next page, Public Works, I'll just give you a few updates while you're reading. French Hill was paved today. The guardrails go in tomorrow. That should be open tomorrow afternoon. Fairfax Street's open.
Nice. You
Yeah.
did through here tonight, never had to let off on the gas.
Yeah, well, we've gotten some complaints about speeders on Fairfax Street.
Yeah.
Well, you gotta test it.
In Tanglewood, they're restarting this week. Clyde Allen Drive, we are about to sign a contract. We hope to by the end of the week with a vendor to start that one. Some of this other stuff is just, you know, making sure we have an updated stormwater implementation schedule, what projects, what years, updated master paving plan, updated vehicle and equipment replacement schedule. Really start building for next year.
Fire department just had their 50th anniversary. They have a new facility, obviously, at some point in the next 5 or 10 years. So we're starting to lay the groundwork for that. And then review their truck and equipment replacement schedule. They seem to be all on board. And then human resources with Aaron, him and I have a list of projects we've thought about we can accomplish in the next year, or he can accomplish. And
the hazard tree program, is that like all those ash borer trees that got attacked?
yeah, and then also like trees and right of ways that block view for pulling off a road or anything like that. We do that to kind of go through.
And we had a bunch of them. I went out with
Yeah,
Dave. this
Yep.
Spring. And I mean, I think there's more trees than our budget, I recall, will allow for.
yeah, we're spending 20. I mean, when I used to be here, we spent 2,000 a year. Which is enough to do like a tree
Or two
or two, depending on the size.
tops.
Yeah, so that is increased there. And again, this is a working document. It's not, but I just think it's a good way to kind of make sure we're rowing in the same direction. Keep you updated. You know, I don't know if some have priorities more than others. I know we've talked about a few. I don't know, are we missing anything? Another thing I asked the directors to do at the directors meeting is I'm gonna ask them to do it in a month, but spend the next month thinking about it. Before we start building budgets, think about what you want to accomplish next year. I know it's hard because we're always constantly in the now, but directors should be able to look forward while they're working on stuff now. And I said, look, imagine we're June 30th, 2027, and you're talking to select board saying what you accomplished over the last 12 months. We need to build our budget to that, not just add 3% or 2% to a budget line item. We need to say, what's our goal? What are we trying to do the next year? Build our budget to that, and then get feedback from you, make changes depending on costs, and then kind of build our budget with like an actual vision and plan of what we want to do besides, you know, the same old in my mind.
It's a good strategy. Thinking ahead. Usually helps.
Well, I think it's just like, you know, like, do we want to have events next year? If so, what events, why, and how much are we going to budget for them? Are we going to build stormwater next year? How much is that going to cost? Or, you know, or we want to get that grant, so at least we have the money set aside to do that instead of, you know, well, we got $50,000 for engineering. Well, engineering what? You know,
Well, I think something to discuss about how people didn't know about Bash at the Bay.
yeah,
Because I attended that event and it was not well attended.
yeah,
I find a lot of people really like those signs on the side of the road where they put them up, you know,
Yeah.
near the highway and you know, it costs money to print those. But if you're going to spend so much money to put on an event, what's another $1,000 to like print some signs and pay somebody to put them? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It
I-
might be worth it.
I think that we have a property in New Hampshire and we get monthly newsletters from the town hall about everything that's going on in the town. Meetings they've had, things coming up, and it's emailed to us. And I really like it, 'cause I'm not there. It just lets you know where our tax money's going
Mm-hmm.
over there. And I think like doing that here, people don't check the website. It's just a lot of people just, that's not their thing.
Right.
But if they got an email or snail mail or whatever they prefer, I think the town would see more involvement. I really, that's a good way to communicate.
The email thing good because if you do it that way, there's people that don't live in the area that live out of town and but talking with friends like, oh, we're going to say, oh, check out. You know,
But like the Bash in the Bay would be in that.
Right.
Like everybody would see it.
Now, the 50 anniversary fire department, you know, one stuck in my mind. So after the fact, I said, I wanted to
Yeah.
defend that, and I'm like, oh, that was Saturday, you know, and
Yeah.
it really wasn't out there either. But apparently they had a good crowd.
Yeah, I mean, it was mostly former firefighters. I went down. That was really good. It's hot. It was a good event.
we talked about doing something like it.
So we talked about in the past, I think it's just formalizing certain things. And like, actually our assessing office has a really good, I was in there today for a meeting. And they've got duties by month, must be Bill or somebody helped build it for John. I was like, we should have one of those in every department, because you don't think about it, but like September, you need to start thinking about building your budget. Like, we don't have to put numbers on paper. We got to start thinking like, what do we want to do next year? And what do we need to find out? Because come October, November, you guys want budgets in your hands to start discussing, and that all starts. Technically, we have a policy that the town manager has to put the capital improvement plan in front of the planning commission in May of every year. That hasn't been followed. So either we change it or we hold the town manager accountable to that. Like, hey, that's on your checklist of things. Did you do it? No. Okay. You know, and so that I'm reading through some of that stuff and trying to help formalize it. But I think here the various things we're kind of trying to knock off. I think some of these ones that are longer term, like an IT infrastructure plan, like we don't really have a good idea. And this goes back to when I was here as director of operations. I started working on this, like iPads, computers, TVs, all these things. Like, we don't mark them where they are that well, how old they are, what's the life, like, are we budgeting like every year we need to buy 3 computers or whatever I think just kind of understanding that better.
Do they tag them?
I don't think we tag them, no.
Everything at you have to tag.
Yeah.
I know everything about it.
We do have the software. Go ahead, Jen.
I do have a list, a replacement list that I usually keep track of with the assistance of Paul at CVS. I also, when we moved into the building, logged the TVs and what rooms they're in, their serial numbers and how old they are, the year we got them and whatnot. So I'm trying to keep a hold of the equipment that we have in the building.
Good.
But John's got a software. I just think you can do like where you could scan them.
Yeah.
It can print barcodes. Like that's kind of that piece. Some of the equipment's expensive, like that plotter we bought with the ARPA money's 10 grand, but do we have a replacement schedule for that? Because that's gonna need to be replaced at some point, and might be 10 years down the road, but yeah, we're thinking about that stuff. Capital project plan. So we have the capital improvement plan, but I think like at some point the town and maybe the planning commission looks at, okay, we have the, sidewalks. Those aren't small things, but like thinking like bigger things like water and sewer to the bay, like actual, like how are we actually going to do this? We talk about it, but like, what's the actual?
I think that should be like a priority.
Yeah.
We should be talking about it now, like every meeting, trying to be the first ones in the door.
The chips.
We've had a few meetings to that extent that are, we would say in executive session, put us at a substantial disadvantage if they were public, that I'll update you on, but we are having conversations about what that might look like. But I agree with you.
That would be my priority one thing.
Yeah. But the goal going forward is having staff update this. I have a more updated one. It just didn't print. And then, so you can kind of track, or anyone in the public wants to ask, they can track kind of where staff's working on a daily basis. This is what we're kind of managing to.
It's the trick is to keep referring to it. 'Cause we get in the,
Every Monday we go over it
yeah.
in our
good.
director head
Because
meeting, and I ask for updates every other, make sure they're updating it.
everyone gets busy and
Yep.
whatnot.
Yeah, I agree. Well, and I think things like, someone's health pass says report's done, but it's like, okay, well, what next? Are we going to build it? Are we not going to build it? Like, a report's not a done project. That's,
Right, just another study.
do we have to buy land? Do we have to work with landowners? Is there a way
Get
to?
on the bookshelf.
Well, I mean, how many times have we done a Route 7 study?
A lot.
This isn't our first one. I think honestly, this is a personal take. That's a tough sell to voters just because it is like build the other sidewalks, but staff went into that one. But that to me is this example where like if staff had come and we had that discussion about a grant, you might have said, we appreciate it, but maybe there's other, finish the health path or finish
Right.
something else. before we spend a year and a half of staff. Because I think that's where some disconnect sometimes can happen, right? Like staff is running, think they're running in the right direction. And then they bring a project here, but they didn't communicate. There hasn't been, there's that, and it can break down at times. But overall, I think pretty good.
Question?
Is there anything you guys can think of that we're missing?
No, I like the new resident packet. I think anything we can do to improve communication with citizens is. They're actually doing quite a bit of good stuff.
Right, nobody knows
And
about it.
nobody knows about it. So then when you pay, you're like, get a little bit testy, rightfully so, but maybe it's just mostly you don't know.
Right. Yep. Nope. Makes
I like it. I like it.
That's all I have for kind of my report here.
Okay, anybody have any other business?
So I did see something from the planning commission where the executive session language changed. You're aware of that?
Yeah,
It seemed like they're making it more restrictive or something. I don't.
they want more detail. I think what they want is like, when you say contractual, like tonight, we should probably say contractual for community housing infrastructure improvement program. You know what I mean? So it's not, we're not, or if we go into personnel, they want to say personnel for the town manager or personnel for the
Okay.
public works director.
You're aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't think, I think some people read it, but
Did I miss that part?
What's that?
Where did you see that?
So it was in a email that the regional planning commission sent,
yeah,
and it was at the bottom, changes something. I don't know.
it says state public meeting law.
Yeah.
They just don't want to say we're going into executive session for any of these three
Is that
reasons.
state law or is that?
State law.
is that-
Yeah, it went into law on 1st of June.
So when I do an agenda, it's gonna say contractual, then under that, something,
About what the contract.
yeah, without giving too many details. That's all we have to do.
Perfect. As long as we're aware of it, so we don't get hung out to dry.
So you're gonna make that for the next meeting?
Yeah. We talked about it today at our director head meeting, but this was already out, so.
Fair enough. Can you? Well, we can't do it. Yeah. Send me that verbiage from, I don't think I got that in me.
Yeah, I'll get it too.
That's all I had.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else? Other business? The next select board meeting will be Tuesday, September 2nd and Monday, September 15th. And the town offices will be closed on Monday, September 1st for Labor Day. Having said that, would somebody like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss a contractual and personnel matter? Premature general public knowledge of the subject matter of place of town or persons involved at a substantial disadvantage. Further move to enter into executive session to discuss a contractual and personnel matter under the provisions of Title I, Section 313A1 of the Vermont statutes, and to invite the interim town manager, Corey Perry.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good evening.
Goodbye.